Hello, this is Autumn Sales, and I'm going to be presenting my final sociological self-portrait. I'm just going to be showing a little bit about myself and what I've learned through this class. So this is me. There's a picture of me to the left. And when I started this class, I didn't know all that much about sociology. So Module 1 helped me to understand what sociology is and why I chose to go to college in the first place. I learned who founded the original sociology principles and how they have changed into modern-day ideas. After learning about the basics of sociology and what that is, we moved on to the second module where I learned about cultures around me, and I got to interview someone from another country. It was so interesting to me, and it opened my eyes to see how different other places in the world are. And through that experience, I actually got to meet a really good friend of mine, the girl I wrote about. Her name was Helena, and she's a very good friend of mine, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to have got to meet her through this project. As we moved on to the third module, it showed me how all of these sociological agents affected my life. And personally, this was my favorite week of the whole class because I got to take what I learned in the first week and the second week and apply that to my life and just see how that affects me every day. So I learned that my family is my first agent, and they teach me things such as my language, my slang, and all the way to my religion. They also influence my hobbies as well as my career goals, especially my parents. My school is another big agent that taught me life skills and opened my eyes to diversity. Because of all the different kids coming in and foreign exchange students, I got to meet so many different people from so many different cultures. My workforce expanded my knowledge and taught me people skills and how to communicate. My religion has had a huge impact on my life because it taught me right from wrong, and it gives me hope every day and for the future. Moving on to the fourth module, I learned the statuses or titles that I hold from a sociological perspective. I'm a sister, a daughter, a student, and a Christian. By looking into all of these statuses, I learned more about myself. Being a daughter and a sister are ascribed statuses because I was born into these things. Being a student and a Christian are achieved statuses because they are things I can choose to do and have chose to do in my life. In the fifth module, I learned about what deviance and social control really is. At first, I believed that deviance is only something bad that people can do, but I realized it depends on who you ask. The paper I wrote about was actually about how just simple clothing that I wore affected the older generation in my family, and it was crazy to me to see how that was considered deviance because of the differences in generation. I learned that deviance is a social concept that changes depending on cultures, morals, and norms. Moving on to Module 6, I found out how likely I am to move around different social classes. And I learned that there are actually 5 different levels that you can be on, ranging from high class all the way down to poverty. And something that causes my chances to decline when it comes to growing in social class is my parents being divorced. And then something that causes my chances to increase in the social stratification system is being white. In my paper, I wrote about how saddening it was to see, just because of your race being black, how hard it is for them to grow on the social scale. As we moved to Module 7, I found out about race and what that means in the sociological world. Race is viewed as a socially constructed concept by sociologists, which I found very interesting. As I said before, just being white gives me a greater advantage over other people in the world because I can grow higher on the social class scale easier. In my paper for this module, I wrote about how I noticed these kinds of racism even when I was young, all the way back to in kindergarten, and it is still a very real issue that we deal with today, and all we can do is speak out and try our best to improve those things. Finally, in Module 8, the final week, I learned the differences between sex and gender. One of the most interesting things to me was the fact that women only make about 80% of the money that men do, even in the same position and the same job. Sexism is very real, and as a female, I believe this statistic is horrible and very unfair. To end out this class and just say my final goodbyes, I'd just like to say that this class has taught me so many new things about myself and challenged me to look at life from a different perspective. I now know how to identify myself from a sociological standpoint. Thank you.